Sacramento County, 1977. In the darkness and fog, his form blended into the night. He could not see them, but he sensed his unit's presence on his right and left flanks. It was up to him to hold the center. As he waited for the order to move forward and attack, the old familiar feelings of fear, mixed with excitement, washed over his body. Such danger had become an aphrodisiac for him. Then he heard it, his signal to attack sounding from a distant Amtrak whistle. He rose from the grass and vaulted the 6-foot cinder block wall, crouching in the target's backyard, waiting. He knew the time, 3 a.m. Now, the floor plan of his victim's home, memorized during a reconnaissance mission 2 days prior, dominated his thinking. Consistent with his training, the entry point to the back bedroom, an unlocked window, waited for him. This was 0 hour. No turning back. All thoughts of his unit vanished. He acted alone. Tonight's target was another Sacramento woman. She was tall, slender, with long dark hair, a profile that drew him as a moth to a light. As he approached the back of the house, the ex-soldier struggled against recurring visions of olive-skinned women lying naked, eyes pleading, their ravaged bodies screaming. For a moment he remembered when he hated those missions with the sight, sounds, and smell of death. In due time, hatred turned to pleasure, and he understood well the importance of brutality. It separated the strong from the weak. Pulling on surgical gloves and pushing open the unlocked window, he lifted his lean body into the house with the ease of a gymnast. Silent, motionless, the intruder waited and listened before removing his clothes, folding them into a neat pile by the open window. Confident all was quiet, he reached into his backpack and took out a mask. Like a skilled actor, he pulled it over his face. Making a slight adjustment for his eyes, he removed a chrome-plated pistol and a flashlight, slung the backpack over his left shoulder, and began his silent creep through the house. A faint glow from a hall nightlight lit a path as he counted each step to the kitchen where he sliced the telephone cord. 15 steps down the hallway, he found 2 people asleep in the master bedroom. His victims lay quiet and vulnerable in their slumber. For a moment, he fought the old distraction, the visions of screaming women, and he forced the images from his mind. Focus on the mission. Focus. 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 He leaned down, pointed the flashlight, pausing momentarily, savoring the power, the control. And then, light. Before sleep could find its way into her weary spirit, Beth Heatherton lay awake in bed, listening to the faint snoring of the man next to her. His name was Ron, and she berated herself for not asking his last name before bringing him home. At the time, his name was not important. She didn't need a name. She needed sex. In truth, she needed to be held. She craved touch. This was the first time in more than 3 years she'd made love to a man other than Hal. Only 5 days ago, her Hal, marriage, and life ever after played prominently in her mind. She had been so ready for marriage. Now a nauseating void remained as she felt herself recalling the fateful Friday evening when Hal invited her to dinner. She anticipated the perfect atmosphere for the long-awaited proposal. For months, she'd used all her feminine wiles to move him toward the topic of marriage. She recalled Hal's redundant responses. "Hang on, honey. You know I'm snowed under at work. We've got plenty of time." He always sounded convincing, and she had tried to respect his work pressures and the extra time his job demanded. After all, for 3 years they'd enjoyed each other's company with dinner dates every weekend, and even one memorable week flying to Italy, renting a car, and exploring the Amalfi Coast. She sure felt Friday night would be her reward. He must have a ring, she assured herself, thrilled with the thought of it. Shockingly, following dinner and her suggestion for a bottle of Mondavi Reserve, instead of a proposal, Hal calmly announced their relationship was over. His explanation, devoid of emotion, burned into her memory. "I've met another woman and I'm serious about her." No pleading, no questioning could sway this new Hal. He had already moved on. Even now, days later, Beth could still not think clearly. Girlfriends encouraged her, "Get over it. Find another man. When Hal knows you're with someone else, he'll come running back." Well, here she was with another man in her bed, and all she felt was loss. Even the sex left a void. She missed Hal. Why wasn't he here holding her? Suddenly, a light exploded in her face and she heard her own screams. Then the gruff order, "Shut up, bitch."